Good morning, class 7. So, today I'm going to teach you chapter 10. The lesson is I Am Malala by Malala Yousafzai. Now, this is actually a true story. It happened a few years ago, not very long. This girl was, she's her parents and this girl they stood up for education, for educating children in Pakistan, and she was shot in the head by people who opposed the education, and but she survived. So today we'll go straight into the chapter. Now, this extract has been taken from I Am Malala, chapter 6, Children of the Rubbish Mountain. What does the rubbish mountain mean here? It means a place where all the garbage is thrown and it's not clean for many days, even months. So it becomes into a big, like a big mountain. It looks like a mountain. You must have seen on the road at places when you walk around a garbage heap. If it's not cleaned for many days, it becomes a huge mountain. So let us go straight into the chapter. Just along the street from a new house was an abandoned strip of land that people used as a rubbish dump. So abandoned means a land which was not used. So people used to throw all the rubbish over there. It was a dump. All the rubbish was thrown there. There is no rubbish collection in Swat. Swat is a place in Pakistan where people do not. There are no people. There are nobody who collects. There is nobody who collects the rubbish out there. So it just lies over there and attracts all kind of insects and rodents which cause disease. Quickly, it became a rubbish mountain. I didn't like walking near it as it smelled so bad. So she did not like walking near it because I mean, all kinds of rubbish was thrown there, and it is there for too long. It starts smelling, so she did not like to walk over there. Sometimes we would spot rats or rodents running through it, and crows would circle overhead. So rats used to go for scavenging food. Even crows, even crows used to go and circle for food. One day my brothers were not home, and my mother had asked me to throw away some potato peel and eggshells. I wrinkled my nose as I approached. So one day when our brothers were not at home, she was asked by her mother to go and throw the rubbish out. So she wrinkled her nose in disgust because the smell she knew. What was the smell over there? As she approached, swatting away flies means hitting insects by your hand or with a flat object, and making sure I didn't step on anything in my nice shoes. So she was very careful while walking there. She did not want to step on something, some dirt, so her shoes would get dirty. As I threw the rubbish on the mountain of rotting food, I saw something move and I jumped. It was a girl about my age. Her hair was matted and her skin was covered in sores. So as she was about to throw the rubbish, the food was rotting over there. People throw all the waste food over there, and she saw a girl. She saw something move over there, and when she looked properly, uh, at first she got frightened, but when she saw properly, she saw a girl about her own age, and she was covered with sores. Sores, a small kind of what do you call, cuts or something which you have. She looked like I imagined Saska, the dirty woman they told us about in tales in the village to make us wash. So when she saw this girl, she remembered about the stories that other women told them about if they didn't wash their hands or wash themselves, that they would look like this woman Sashka. The girl had a big sack and was sorting rubbish into piles. She had a big sack, so she was taking all the rubbish, sorting them into different. Like one was for can, one was for bottle tops, another for glass, and another for paper. Nearby there were boys fishing also in the pile. Boys also were there looking for things, for metal. They were using metal, looking for metal using magnets or strings on strings. I wanted to talk to the children, but I was too scared. When she saw them, she felt sad and she wanted to talk to them, but she was scared. That afternoon, when my father came home from school, I told him about the scavenger children. Now, scavenger are people or children, or you catch people who go scavenging, looking for food or looking for something in a rubbish, on a heap of rubbish, and begged them to go with me to look. So when her father came, she told her father, "Come with me and look at these children. Do something about them." He tried to talk to them, but they ran away. So the father tried to talk to them, but they ran away. He explained that the children would sell what they had sorted to a garbage shop for a few rupees. So he explained to his daughter, so whatever they get from here, they go to a garbage shop, they sell it, and the shop sells it to some other people for a big profit. On the way back home, I noticed that he was in tears. While coming home, she noticed that her father was in tears. Tears were flowing from his eyes because I think he felt sorry looking at those children. "Abba, you must give them free places at your school," I begged. He laughed. My mother and I had already persuaded him to give free places to a number of girls. So the girl Malaya asked her father to give a few places in the school for these children. But already she and her mother had persuaded her father to give a few places to a number of girls who were already living there. Though my mother was not educated, she was the practical one in the family, the doer, while my father was the talker. What she's trying to say here, that her mother was not educated, but she used to do things and not talk. You get many people who talk. They have a lot of talk. They have a lot of big talk. I can do this, I can do that, but they don't do anything. They just sit and talk. And there are people who do things without talking. I think you must have come across those type of people. So here's the same thing. Her father was the talker while the mother was the doer. So there is a phrase, is practice what you preach. Whatever you say, you should practice that. So she was always helping people. My father would get angry sometimes. He would arrive home at lunch and call out, "Tor Pakai, I'm home," only to find she was out and there was no lunch for him. Sometimes he used to come home for lunch and his wife was not there and she wouldn't cook lunch for him and he used to get angry because he was hungry. But she used to go out to help other people, and when he found out that she was at the hospital visiting someone who was sick or had gone to help her family, so he could not stay cross. Cross means angry. He was not angry anymore because he knew that she had gone to help people. She was doing something good. Sometimes, though, she would be out because she was shopping for clothes in the China Bazaar, and that would be a different matter. Sometimes he got angry because that time she was not helping anybody. She was going and she was shopping. She was doing shopping in China Bazaar, and that would make him angry because he never got lunch while his wife was shopping. Wherever we lived, my mother filled our house with people. I shared my room with my cousin Anisha from the village, who had come to live with us so she could go to school, and a girl called Shenaz, whose mother Sultana had once worked in a house. So what she's saying is here, wherever they lived, her mother used to fill the house with people. Her mother used to she shared her room with her cousin Anisha, who had come to live with her, so that she could go to school, and a girl called Shenaz, whose mother Sultana had once worked in their house. Now Shenaz and her sister had also been sent out to collect garbage after their father had died, leaving them very poor. So this girl and her sister, when the father died, they became very poor, and they had to go and collect garbage to survive, to live. One of our brothers was mentally ill and was always doing strange things like setting fire to the clothes or selling the electric fan. So one of the brothers was a little bit mental. He was doing some weird things. So We gave them to keep cool. The fan which they gave them, the brother sold the fan. Sultana was very short tempered. Short tempered means she used to get very angry at the drop of a hat. She used to get angry very fast. And my mother did not like having her in the house. So my mother did not like it. That a lady, a person is short tempered, she gets angry for nothing, and so she did not like her. But her father arranged a small allowance for her and a place for Shanaz and her other brothers at his school. So, but her father allowance means an amount of money that is given to help or regularly for a particular for them to live or eat. Shanaz had never been to school, so even though she was 2 years older than me, she was put 2 classes below, and she came to live with us so that I could help her. Shanaz was older than her, but she was 2 classes below her because she had not gone to school earlier. So she came to live over there so that this girl could help her out. Then there was also Nuria, whose mother Karu did some of her washing and cleaning. Now this mother was working as a maid in the house. And Alishpa, one of the daughters of Khalida, the woman who helped my mother with the cooking. So these are the maids who work with them. Khalida had been sold into marriage to an old man who used to beat her. Now Khalida was sold into marriage. The old man must have given a lot of money to the family, and she was sold into the marriage, and that old man used to beat her a lot. And eventually she ran away with her 3 daughters. And last she got fed up and she ran away with her 3 daughters. Her own family would not take her back because it is believed that a woman who has left her husband has brought shame on her family. So her own family didn't take her back. Even though she said my husband used to beat her, they didn't believe her because it was a shame. And in India also we have the same situation over here. When the wife get beaten by the husband and the wife wants to go back home, the family doesn't want to accept because they think it brings back shame on them. But this is wrong. It is wrong. The family should accept them back because it is their daughter who has been facing all the problems. So they should understand and bring them back and not say it is because of shame and all that. It is, in fact, it is shameful for the family not to take the daughter back. That is shameful. So, for a while, her daughters also had to collect rubbish to survive. Her story was like something out of the novels I had started reading. So, Khalida's story also was something like the novels, the books that Malalia was reading. The school had explained a lot by then, expanded. The school had expanded means it became bigger and bigger, and had 3 buildings. The original one in Landikas was a primary school, and there was a high school for girls on Yaha Street, and one for boys with a big garden of roses near the remains of the Buddhist temple. Remains means nobody goes to the temple, it's just lying there like that. We had about 800 students in total. And although the school was not really making money, my father gave away more than 100 free places. So even though the school was not making money, some of the students were having free education there and places also to live. One of them was to a boy whose father, Sharafat Ali, had helped my father when he was a penniless college student. Now, one of the boys whose father, Sharafat Ali, he had helped Malala's father when he was a penniless college student. Penniless means no money he had when he used to go to college. They were friends from the village. Sharafat Ali worked at the electric company, and he would give my father a few hundred rupees whenever he could spare them. Whenever he had extra money, he used to give Malala's father a few hundred rupees. My father was happy to be able to repay his kindness by teaching his son, by educating his son and giving his son a place to live. Another was a girl in my class called Kausar, whose father embroidered, embroidered clothes and shawls, a trade our religion is famous for. Now, when we went on school trips to visit the mountains, I knew he couldn't afford them. She couldn't afford them, so I would pay for her with my pocket money. So when they used to go for school trips to visit the mountains, the Malaya knew this girl could not pay, so she should help her with She used to help her by paying for her through her pocket money. Giving places to poor children didn't just mean my father lost the fees. It just didn't mean that he also lost the fees. Some of the richer parents took their children out of the school when they realized they were sharing with classroom with the sons and daughters of people who cleaned their houses or stitched the clothes. Now some of the people were rich and their children also were studying in the school, in the same school. But when they came to know that these are very poor children and these children's parents work as maids and servants in these people's houses and they are studying with our children, so they started taking out their own children from there. They thought it was shameful for the children to mix with those from the poor families. Now this is completely wrong. Their thinking was wrong. We are all equal. So those rich people thought our children are studying with the poor children. No, we will not keep them. We will not keep them along with them. We put them to some other school. But it is the wrong thinking because we are all made equally. My mother said it was hard for the poor children to learn when they were not getting enough food at home, so some of the girls would come to her house for breakfast. So her mother said that it was very difficult for children to learn because they were not getting breakfast, not getting proper food, and coming to class hungry stomach. I mean, they could not concentrate on what was being taught or on the teaching, on the learning. So the mother started inviting them for breakfast to the house. My father joked that our home had become a boarding house. So sometimes our father used to joke that this house has become a boarding house. Free food, free lodging, everything is free, come and have here. Now having so many people around made it hard to study. I had been delighted to have my own room. Now, there were so many people there around, so it was very hard for Malala to study. But she was delighted that she had her own room. And my father had even bought me a dressing table to work on. A dressing table where she could what is a dressing table? A dressing table is where you dress up, you keep your makeup set, or you put powder, certain essential things, especially for ladies. So, so yeah, let's go to the thing. Uh, but now I had two other girls in the room. Now she had two other girls. I want space at cry. But then I felt guilty as I knew we were lucky. Now she didn't want anybody else in the room, and she used to say, "I want space. I don't want any. I want to be alone." But then she used to realize that she was lucky, and she feel guilty that she was lucky not as them, that she was better than them. I thought back to the children working on the rubbish heap. She thought about the children working on the rubbish heap. They don't have anything, but I have my own room. I have a dressing table. I have food. I kept seeing the dirty face of the girl from the dump and continued to pester my father. Pester is to annoy somebody, keeping on telling that person, I want to do this, I want to do that, or give me this, or give me that. Keep on pestering, like some of you do. I know who does it. I won't name, I know who does, who pesters me all the time. So, to pester my father to give them places at our school. He tried to explain that those children were breadwinners. So if they went to school, even for free, the whole family would go hungry. So her father said, even if we take them in our school, those children, they are breadwinners. They earn, the bread earners. They earn money for the families. If we take them in our school, the whole family will suffer because there's nobody to earn the money, and the whole family will go hungry, even the mother and father. So, however, he got a wealthy philanthropist, Azadi Khan, who to pay for him to produce a leaflet, asking. Now he got somebody, a rich man, to pay to make leaflets. Leaflets are small little papers where you print something and you distribute it. So this is a Hindi word. I'm not going there. I'll interpret it in English, which is here. Is education not the right of these children? There was a question on the leaflet. Is education is not the right of these children? Yes, it is. My father printed thousands of these leaflets, left them at local meetings, and distributed them around town. So father printed thousands of it and distributed all over the place. But then My father was becoming a well-known figure in Swat. Everybody was coming to know him because he's running a school, he's helping poor children, children from very poor families who were going picking rubbish. Even though he was not a Khan or a rich man, people listened to him. They knew he would have something interesting to say at workshops and seminars. Seminars and workshops are actually organized to help to conduct a meeting to educate people on certain topics. And I'm sure her father was educating people on the children, uh, those children who are very poor, for them, especially the girl children, to be educated in schools. So, and wasn't afraid to criticize the authorities. He was not afraid to criticize the government, even the army. He even criticized the army, which was now running our country. That time, when this happened, there was a coup by the General Pervez Musharraf, and he took over the full country, and he became the dictator of the country. He was becoming known to the army too, and friends told him that the local commander had called him lethal in public. Now, lethal is something very strong word. Lethal weapon, like a weapon. Lethal is something very dangerous. So the local commander had called him lethal in public. My father didn't know what exactly the brigadier meant, but in our country, where the army is so powerful, it did not bode well. When the army in Pakistan says this, the army is a very powerful entity in Pakistan because most of the time they run the government there. So they're very, very powerful there. So one of his pet hates was the ghost schools. Ghost school. Now, ghost schools are what? Ghost schools. Ghost schools are schools which nobody attends. Influential people in remote areas took money from the government for schools which never saw a single pupil. Influential people means government people said the schools are running and they took money from the government, but there was no schools running. No students used to come. Instead, they used the buildings for their hujras or even to keep their animals. They kept the animals over there. There was even a case of a man drawing a teacher's pension when he had never taught a day in his life. There was a man also who was drawing pension from the government as a teacher, but he never taught a single lesson in the entire life in a school. Aside from corruption and bad government, my father's main concern in those days was the environment. So, other than the government and the bad and the corruption, her father had her father's concern was other things as well, like the environment. Mingoria was expanding quickly. Mingoria is a place around 175,000 people now called it home, and our once fresh air was becoming very polluted from all the vehicles and cooking fires. This whole place was becoming polluted because so many people started living there and getting polluted with cars, buses, cooking fires. The beautiful trees on our hills and mountains were being chopped down for timber, for wood. My father said only half the town's population had access to drinking water, to safe drinking water. Only half of the people had access to safe drinking water. The other people drank dirty water. And most like us had no sanitation, means the bathrooms and other things were very dirty. So he and his friends set up something called the Global Peace Council. So her father set up with some of his friends this Global Peace Council, which despite its name had very local concerns. Since it was global name, but they were not doing anything global. It was just at the local level. The name was iconic, and my father often laughed about it. But the organization's aim was serious: to preserve the environment of Swat and promote peace and education among local people. So the father's intention was to preserve the environment of Swat and promote peace and education among the local people. My father also loved to write poetry, sometimes about love, but often on controversial themes such as honor killings and women's rights. Now, what are honor killings? Now, her father used to write poetry on love, about love, but controversial themes which some people might not like. Honor killings. Honor killings is something like when you do not obey your mother and father for marriage. Your mother and father chooses somebody for your marriage and you do not obey him, you marry somebody else, they kill you. And women's rights. Once he visited Afghanistan for a poetry festival at the Kabul Intercontinental Hotel, where he read a poem about peace. It was mentioned as the most inspiring in his closing speech. So he went to this Intercontinental Hotel in Kabul where he read a poem about peace, and everybody liked that poem. And they all, they were, and some in the audience even asked him to repeat the whole stanzas and couplets, explaining wah, wah, wah when a particular line pleased them, which is a bit like bravo, bravo. Even my grandfather was proud. Son, may you be the star in the sky of knowledge, he said. So he told her grandfather told his son or father that may you be the star in the sky of knowledge. We too were proud, but his higher profile meant we didn't see him very much. Now they were proud, but the father started becoming higher and higher. His status started growing higher and higher. So they stopped seeing him much because he was visiting a lot of places on invitations. It was always our mother who shopped for our clothes and took us to hospitals if we were ill. So it was the mother who took them for shopping, and also if they were sick, took them to hospitals. Even though in our culture, particularly for those of us from villages, a woman is not supposed to do these things alone. So in their culture, especially for women, a woman is not supposed to do all these things alone. She's supposed to take a husband and go. So one of my father's nephews would have to go along. I hope you enjoyed this lesson and read, go through the chapter. This chapter is a very interesting chapter. Question answers I'll give some other for today. So for today, bye and have a great day.